You never want to see a child go before you do, as a parent. And that's exactly what was happening. The worst thing that could ever happen to a parent. Your child is about to die, and how do you deal with that? Caitlyn was born in London area, West London. We lived in West London. She unfortunately had some difficulties soon after birth that were identified as cerebral palsy, epilepsy, and visual difficulties and learning difficulties. But I have to say, throughout her life, she didn't let that stop her. She wanted to do what her older brother and sister did, and that was live life, go to school, and eventually go to college. Caitlyn had a number of interests in life. She loved doing artwork. She loved some of the drama she was doing, and she loved challenges. She was particularly known for wearing bright colors. Some of her family from Hawaii had made some beautiful clothes, and she was always known for being in those. And she was known for pretty much announcing herself as she came into her room. Particularly in her arts room, she'd go in, open up the piano, and then hit all the keys. She was there. Caitlyn was there, and we loved that. She also loved her music. That was the other thing too. She had a really eclectic love of music. She had everything from, dare I say, Bing Crosby, a song called Straight Down the Middle. And she had that when she was in her little elementary special needs school to help her walk and stay in the middle of the road. One of the things is she got involved with her college. Derwin had an annual Easter walk. We went out and walked the cliffs near Sidmouth. We took, of course, and I haven't mentioned two other critical people in her life, Poppy and Digby. They're two Westland Highland Terriers, mother and son, and she adored the dogs. At the end of the walk, and it's something I hold dear to my heart, I think now, she stopped, and we had a message for all her friends. She wanted to do a message for all her friends, and it was, "Hey guys, keep going.
Hey guys, keep going."
And that I think is something that I think as her family, as her friends, people who knew her, will always remember that. And I think it's something you try and live by, you know, we all try and live by. She was with us at home. She'd come home from college. She and I had just gone out that morning and gone to purchase, after 5 years, her old iPad was just wearing out. We'd just gone and purchased her new iPad for when she graduated in a few months' time, but she was going to be living on her own, and she was very proud of that. We'd come back, and she was at home, and we were having her hair cut, and just chattering away. She wanted to keep something a surprise for her mother, and just so giggling around about all that, and then suddenly she went over. She had had seizures, and we dealt with them. Her entire family knew about these things. Sadly, this one was different. It wasn't just a seizure. It was a massive, massive hemorrhage. She went to Royal Devon and Exeter Hospital, and once they'd seen the scan there, they made arrangements for her to go to the Derriford neurological unit there. They did what they could there, but it was clear we were not going to see the young woman we'd loved, the young girl we'd loved, back. And as a matter of fact, it was only getting worse. And as that reality dawned on us, I can't remember how it happened now, because you kind of block out some of this stuff. But somebody had said, there's a doctor here from the hospice, and maybe it's time to have a conversation.
I was really struck by how important Caitlyn was to the family and how loved she was. Around the hospital bed here in Derriford, there were photos of a girl that was full of life. Situations which really touch me often is when I can relate. I can relate to the patients or the families, and a daughter that age. My children are not that much younger. We were able to support her moving over to St Luke's really to focus really on that special time with her and the family for the last stages of her life.
You never want to see a child go before you do, as a parent. And that's exactly what was happening. The worst thing that could ever happen to a parent. Your child is about to die, and how do you deal with that? And so when he said, look, we do have a place, it was a really hard decision, because you still wanted to fight on and on and on, and you can't. You're not prolonging her life, you're prolonging her eventual death. And that is a horrible realization. And the end was either going to be right there in what to us was a frenetic place and time, or it could be in a hospice. And it was a world of difference. It was like this oasis of calm. It meant that we could actually see her, be with her, and not have nurses and beepers and things going off all the time. And we found an amazing place here that provided peace, it provided love, it provided care, and it allowed her family and myself, well, all of us to say goodbye to her. We could decorate the room, so we brought in some of her artwork, put it right up on the walls. We brought in her own pillows, we brought in her own books, and we read those to her. It had something amazing that I have never seen before, a cuddle bed. I'd never heard of such a thing, but it was a bed that extended out so that somebody could lie down in with her mother, her sister, her brother, myself. We could actually spend a bit of time just with her. I can't tell you the difference that made. I know, and I only learned this afterwards, that it was donated by a young lady of Caitlyn's age, I gather, who'd asked that in her memory, I think her name's Chloe, if I'm correct, she'd asked in her memory that, because she couldn't cuddle her boyfriend, is the story I'd heard. I just thought that was so amazing of this young lady to have done this, and that made an impact. It made a difference for us. I can't begin to tell you how much of a difference that made. But the whole place gave us space where we could come to terms fully with the fact that we were at the end of Caitlyn's journey, and it wasn't, she wasn't going to come back. And there's nothing you can do to change that, There's nothing you can do to change that. But we feel honored and privileged that she was lucky enough. Not everybody has that time or the luxury of a hospice experience. We went down to the guard room, this little restaurant not far from here, and we'd see a small vessel that was being towed out, and it had on it the words unmanned. Plymouth was a place of embarkation. And after Caitlyn's death, that came home to me right away for some strange reason. The place from which in 1620 was a certain ship called the Mayflower set sail, a place where adventures have gone on for years. And that tied in with this boat we kept seeing. Found out that it was called the Mayflower. And it was a vessel that was about to embark on a cross-Atlantic journey in the footsteps of the famous Mayflower. The Mayflower 400, this was called. It was an autonomous ship. It was being sailed without a crew. It was making its own decisions using an IBM computer. And it was going to sail across from Plymouth, England to Plymouth, USA, Massachusetts, Plymouth. And it was a couple weeks after her passing here that we got in touch with the developer of that ship. We wondered if we could send a few personal effects of our daughters, because we have a few family members in the States, including her sister, on board that for one last adventure. And in June, they managed to sail over to Halifax, Nova Scotia, and then they've now sailed down to Plymouth, Massachusetts. And so it crossed over, and those items now, which includes something we sent from here because we were so taken with it. We managed to get a small, one of your little bears is a key ring. It was trying to do one more little journey one more little adventure for Caitlyn. And I'd like to think that was something she'd have enjoyed. You don't know how your life's going to end up or what's going to happen, the adventures and journeys you go on, how they're going to resolve. This one, tragic as it is for us, has been a journey that I'm glad we took. If we had to take this journey, and everybody does at some point, but it's a journey I'm glad that we were able to take with St. Luke's. So are we grateful for her life? Absolutely. Are we grateful for the journey that we had with her? Absolutely. Absolutely.